everyone, and welcome back to NieR Replicant. This is episode 21, and I'm starting the episode at a very unexpected spot. As you can see, we're just no fanfare. We're right here, and obviously I can explain. So, last time we got ending B of the game, and it said, hey, ending C, go and get those weapons. Power, good luck. And we have them all, which is good. But it starts us off at the halfway point. And I did ask, I was like, hey, ask my community in the Discord, any new story, any new cutscenes, you know, or is it the same thing? We're just running through to the finish line, and is it annoying that we didn't just get put at the point of no return at the Lost Shrine so we could just enjoy having all of the weapons and experience ending C? No, you start at the halfway point in the game again. After freeing Kaine from petrification, we've got to do the story again. So I've just been cruising, you know, I'm pretty much just right at the start, just mashing the X button to go through dialogue and cutscenes because I've experienced it twice now. However, as I'm doing that, and I went and left the village to go head towards the junk heap, look at this. Look at, there's a scene here, and not one that I've seen before. So as soon as this popped up, I've gone, well, now I've got to record this moment as the intro to our ending C episode, which is basically me getting up to that point of no return. But look at this. Deviler. Looks like he left the village. What a start, huh?
Yeah. You think he'll be able to find all the fragments? If he doesn't, these past 5 years will have all been for nothing. Now that we know the location of the original Gestalt, the Shadowlord, we have to stop his rampage.
Damn.
I can't believe the Shadowlord ran off and holed up like that. I worry the Shades who guard the key fragments will pose too much of a threat. Maybe so. But we're pretty much out of options at this point. You having second thoughts, sis? No. The plan is all that matters. We must see the plan to completion. He is simply a tool to that end.
Okay. So that gives a little bit more insight into these two, like, helping the characters and thinking about the Shadowlord and stuff like that. So they're talking some interesting information about them, just like talking about the dialogue there. Not sure if there's going to be moments like that throughout the course of going through ending C, but if it does come up, I will be sure to include them before we get up to the Lost Shrine with all of the fragments. But pretty cool, because getting conversations between Deviler and Popola, I think, is such a little rewarding tidbit. Because obviously they help you, and then at the end they're like, hey, you want to turn around now? And then we fight them. So getting a little more dialogue from them while they're in this state of the game, I appreciate that. But alas, I am onwards and upwards, going through the main story fragments once again before we get to maybe the next scene or the Lost Shrine. Who knows? Ooh, we have ourselves a new scene again. Here we go.
Hey, sis. How goes the code breaking? Harder than I expected. It's going to take some more time. More importantly, how is the child who drifted ashore getting along?
What?
Right on schedule so far. I mean, we knew she was powerful enough to destroy an entire ship, but now she's grown even stronger.
Oh, wow. I always thought it was like someone who washed up in the village. I'm like, this is new, but okay, they're talking about Seafront.
There is one thing, though. She's started to obsess over becoming human. If that's a problem, we need to nip it in the bud. If the Shadowlord resists the plan, we'll need her power to defeat him.
Huh.
I know, Popola, I know. Jeez, relax, will ya? It's a fool's dream. and we both know it. She doesn't have a receptacle, so she can't become human, no matter how badly she wants to.
Damn. Okay. That was unexpected. I'm sorry. My light is possessed by a shade. All right, hold on. Damn, that was unexpected. So we picked the option check in with Popola, and coming back here has triggered because that means we're going to Seafront. So they're addressing it. That's really cool. So this girl, Louise, is part of a backup plan that they'll need her help. But she's obsessing over becoming a human, indeed. That's very cool.
I think I'm beginning to understand. Climate change wasn't the cause of our woes. It seems that this event turned the world into a metropolis of salt.
So, yeah, this guy talked about, like, the metropolis of salt, and then what we've read about in regards to the salt stuff, all connected.
Hey, Popola.
Ah, you're back.
Have you learned anything more about the Shadowlord's key?
I'm sorry.
I see. Well, can I take something off your plate?
Oh, how about, well, can I ask?
Sure.
All right. So, checking in with Red Bag Man because he's not showing up to work. So, we're going to do the Seafront quest line. I'm not sure how many Devler and Popola scenes there are, but I would assume there'd be, I don't know, a few at least. But I will.
This feels alarmingly familiar.
Keep the cameras rolling in case
sure
there's
that
more.
couple is merely having another one of their inane spats.
So the next thing that we are doing is the Seafront wrecked ship. So because there's been a couple of new scenes clarified with the fellow Discord community that there were a couple of small additions in Route C because in the original release of the game there wasn't. So the Replicant remaster has added a couple of things. There was a little bit of confusion. So there's apparently something here and perhaps something more before the end, but we shall find out.
This would be the final room, yes? The culprit who murdered the townspeople may be behind this very door.
So we'll go inside and we shall fight Louise once more.
To think it could recover from such a grievous wound.
Ordinary attacks aren't gonna do shit against this thing.
We'll just have to up our own attacks to match.
You get its weakness by now, yeah, Sunshine? Well then, get to carving this bastard up before we're all dead!
I know, damn it, I know. The core of this thing is in the mouth. We need to get up there.
Are you serious?
But how are we supposed to do that?
Instead of wasting time running your mouths, how about you keep attacking the damn thing until it falls over?
Hey, the guy from before's collapsed on
I think this is the new
That
stuff.
shade's got some kind of hard-on for it. We should take him hostage.
Shut your yap. I'm not in the business of using my blades on people.
Okay, this is the new stuff. We're able to, like, properly attack it.
I think it's working.
Wow. Okay, shit. Another thing that's
Concentrate
very cool.
magical energy into its head.
Another thing that is
Attack it
very
to make
cool
all the power gathered there to
is the
discharge.
shades are sounding more and more human, as in we're able to understand more. Like there's still that shade voice effect, but there's still more of the actual English that we can hear coming through. It's incredible. Ooh, shit. Okay.
Now's your chance, run, lad! Attack the part of her that looks like a girl.
The shade's core is inside its mouth! Hurry!
I'm hurrying. Fuck, this is just brutal. So this time he doesn't come out and start like wailing on her at all. Wow, so there's a different shot where we don't, like, get down for the count and the postman intervenes. Instead, we just actually properly finish it. Wow. World Purification Commission report. The first attachment is functioning properly. However, continued caution will be required in the future. 1 week later.
Thanks. You really saved our bacon.
You've all done so much for me. I don't have the words to express how sorry I am.
The hell's this, Sunshine?
A letter. That thing wrote it for the postman.
Ha! Man, that is some grade A chicken scratch.
She probably copied the letters as best she could.
So, what's it say?
Oh, she didn't rip it up this time. Several days later.
It's like I was stuck in some kind of dream.
Hey, letter guy.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real? Or not?
You're that. I mean, how can I help you?
Got a letter for you.
Ooh, she delivers it instead of ripping it up.
Wait, you have a letter for me?
Yeah, it's from that thing on the ship.
Louise? Let me see. Oh, it says, thank you. Wow, look at this. After all that time I spent trying to teach her to write, she actually managed to string together a few ugly little letters. Damn it. Why can't I stop seeing her smile? Or hearing that song she used to sing? I know she ate people. I know she was a monster.
But he's seeing the human side of her too. Damn. A nice addition. Gratitude. You gave Louise's letter to the postman. Okay. Wow. Back to the village. This might be very late, but I left the village on the way to the junk heap, and I noticed the white dot on my map, and there's this guy here.
What's up? Last month, my wife encountered some sheep in the plains, and the foul creatures kicked the very life from her.
This might be a quest that is significantly delayed that I just have not seen because he's sitting on the corner of the plains area.
I came here to enact my revenge, but the beasts are far too violent for me to take on.
So, you want me to hunt them down?
No, that won't do.
Oh, then what do you want?
They must suffer as she suffered.
My good man, we are hardly in the business of punting fluffy animals to death.
I've heard you've tamed wild boars, yes? That you can mount and ride them as one would a common pack animal. That shall be my revenge. Mount your boar and ride headlong into the sheep. Annihilate them and all their kin across this plain.
This is hardly the most civilized of assignments.
Save your civilized concerns for one who has not experienced my pain. These animals must suffer. They must pay for what they have done to my beloved.
I just missed this whole quest. Is that... yeah, this feels like I should have done this so long ago, hours ago. Because look, now there are sheep, all in a row. Oh god, sorry sheep. This is how you spawn sheep in the game now, I guess. Remember when there were sheep and it wasn't just shades everywhere? God, this sucks. Yes, the massacring sheep quest. This is so sad I missed this. Oh my god. Was he really... Is he just blaming sheep for what Shades would have done? Right? That was the final kamikaze attack to end it all.
Thank you. I'm sure my wife sleeps easier now.
She's dead.
Here is your payment. Well, if you wish to give it another go, I will be here.
Jesus. All right. Oh, he's okay. So that was that. Doesn't count as a quest, by the way. That was just, hey, slaughter sheep and you can get paid for it. Awful. Okay. Glad we documented that amazing moment in time.
Welp, now they can finally enter the Shadowlord's castle.
Just the welp.
Yes, but we can't relax just yet. If he kills the Shadowlord, the entire plan will collapse. We'll need to restrain him before that can happen. Come on, you really think he'll listen to us? Maybe. It's just... I don't know. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about all the time we used to spend with him. Devila!
Damn.
I know. We can't afford that kind of thing, I get it. But I know you feel it too. Even if I did, we have no choice. We were designed to do this. It's funny, I'm even concerned about this. I mean, it's not like he has a soul.
It's not like he has a soul, but there's the thing that by being around him, people are affected by it, you know? That's the really interesting part in the documents. By being around this guy, everybody is changed as a result. So they're like, we feel it, and they're struggling with it. And I think that that's really cool to have these characters that they have a purpose, they have a mission, and they've been working on that mission for hundreds and hundreds of years. And they're still conflicted. Even now, they're like, I've just been thinking about the time that we've spent together and how nice it's been. So it's very, very cool to think about. But we can now approach the Shadowlord and take him out and see what happens after that. Now, I have been advised to save the game and not to overwrite the file this time. So I assume I'll be wanting to keep a backup of my current save file approaching this ending. So that's probably for the best anyway. The only reason I haven't really been backing up this main save file of mine is because there really hasn't seemed like a reason to at first, because it's just like we're just replaying through the same game or like the same story to get to the ending again. So there isn't like a level of, oh, better have a backup save just in case. But It seems we have reached that point now, so in we go. Okay, as we find ourselves back in this place, after having ascended the Lost Shrine, ready to enter the trials once again before facing Devila and Popola, we have collected all weapons. We have 100% weapon collected. We also have every single weapon maximized, which means we get to read some complete stories today before we finish this part of the story. And if Ending C is related to gathering all of the weapons, you better gather all the weapons, and then let's read. So we're just going to read some of these last points on these weapons. We can remember some of these stories because some of them are relatively simple. We may reread a few of them depending on what they are, especially like the iron pipe and ones that are a bit more intensive like that. Rip, 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 rip. The sound of flesh being rent on the battlefield, the sound of killing enemies, killing someone, killing humans. Someone help me. It hurts. It hurts so much. Help me. Mommy. That's right. Maybe it even slaughters children, which is what our character has done. Humans, irregardless of mother, child, father, our character has slain them all in the name of Yona, and he gets his happy ending. He gets to be reunited with Yona after systematically wiping out every single shade he lays his eyes upon. And we just have to watch the shades, the original humans, be absolutely miserable about it. Isn't that great? Isn't that just so happy and exciting? We have to watch the human version of Yona and NieR share a cookie together in the afterlife. The lily leaf sword, consumed by her madness, the woman slaughtered the young husband and wife, hacking them with such force that the blade of her sword warped. The woman then went into hiding, leaving behind only clumps of unrecognizable meat and a sword with a horribly bent blade. No matter how many smiths attempted to repair the sword, it never again retained its original shape. Let's also talk about the fact that all of these blades and the stories attached to them are kind of horrible as well. And these are all the weapons that we wield, especially when we start going into we have the vile axe and stuff like that. The Nirvana dagger. On the day that they were to be married, the girl was brought to a place of cobbled stone they could see from the windows of their home. A single dagger was then placed before them, and the girls were told they needed to end their life here and now if they wished to meet their betrothed. Upon hearing this news, the girls scrambled to seize the dagger from one another, plunging it into their chest the moment they held it. Years later, a temple named the Betrothed was built on the spot where the girls took their own lives. Jesus Christ. A quarrel broke out as the girls argued that only the greatest among them could become their lord's betrothed. So none would yield, asserting that only they alone could possibly satisfy him. Each and every one of you shall surely become bride to our lord. And they were like, hell yeah. And then they were like, hey, so there's this dagger here. What if you ended your own life and then you can get what you want? Alright, is there a happy story in here, guys? I don't think so. I don't think so. Moonrise, an enslaved woman in a mine, eventually discovered the sword. Desiring an easy death over the continuation of her daily suffering, she grasped the weapon firmly. And while the woman did not freeze, she was also unable to pierce her own flesh. Soon, moonlight shone upon the blade and the weapon, reflecting the sight of the woman being beaten and dragged away by her master. Wow, okay. Fucking hell. Hesitated to end her life, and as a result, her chance at freedom is gone. God damn it. Okay. Rebirth. I won't kill you right away, so don't worry about a thing there, champ. I'm gonna take my sweet time before you finally give up the ghost. Honestly, you'd be surprised how much it takes to kill a person. I mean, think about it. People got 2 eyes. Most of them, anyway. And 2 ears. 10 fingers. 10 toes, 20 nails across the lot. Don't even get me started on joints, because folks got hundreds of the damn things. Yeah, we got plenty of ways to keep ourselves entertained. Huh? Why am I doing this? Now ain't that a question? Buddy, I'm just doing what you've been doing for a good long while now. Nabbing innocent citizens on fake charges, torturing them, and putting their severed heads on display. That ring any bells, buddy? It should, because it was all you. Guess maybe you forgot about all that, huh? Well, that's okay. I'll spend all the time it takes to make sure you remember every last thing you did to my wife and daughter. That's a father's revenge. Because how did that start? This is the weapon that'll be ending your life. It's basically a full monologue. Yeah, this is just a full monologue of torturing a guy. Earthworm's Claw, which was an elderly scholar, sits in a dim reference room, a single box which has been sealed away. The box contains a fossil that drinks the blood of humans. He opens the box, which spits forth a cloud of dust, and beholds a single stone of bizarre shape. Looking at the attached handle, one could easily conclude it was used in some manner of ceremony. However, it could also be viewed as a weapon. What a fascinating shape. Yes, this will require rigorous research indeed. How foolish everyone was to be afraid of something like this. The scholar chuckles softly to himself as he reaches up and gouges out his left eye with the fossil's tip. Proving it right, it drank the blood. The blade of treachery. So this was the sisters being puppets of complex machinery. Now, at first, remember, I was like, whoa, Devler and Popola maybe? And while I was wrong, because it's not really about these guys, because they didn't feel anything. They couldn't mourn. They experienced no true sadness. They didn't know what it was. So it was very interesting. They didn't feel anything. Now, I could still argue this could be about Devler and Popola originally, and then their exposure to our character and the effect that we've had on them has allowed them to develop that part of themselves where they have even showed emotion and cried tears. But it depends. You know, it's all perspective and subjective viewpoints. It was a warm spring's day when a lone cat wandered into their home. This was the cat that said, "What a bother." It was a cold winter's day when the cat came into their house, let out a feeble squeak, and died. Time and again did the younger sister shake the cat's body. Time and again did the elder sister call out to it, but the cat neither moved nor responded. In that moment, the sisters felt as though they felt something break deep inside their chests, and from that day forth, they truly felt nothing at all. Sheesh, alright. Guess what? Let's replace the cat with one of the sisters. And that kind of same thing happened, where we've got, like, Devler calling out, like, "Popola!" You know? It's like, you killed my sister and you want to stop? Except I wouldn't say that she felt nothing at all. She felt only rage. Beastbane. General loved to make war. He enjoyed nothing more than watching cities burn and corpses pile up, and he fought not to subjugate, but simply to destroy all that he could. His well-trained soldiers laid waste to towns, cities, and even nations for the sake of their general, and as they hewed and hacked and chopped, the general would chuckle to himself in the most vulgar of tones. The army marched on and on. Nations by the sea, nations in the mountain, nations in the deserts, nations in the tundra, nations to the east, to the west. The general cared not, he simply wished to watch it all burn. His orders were absolute, and for years beyond counting, the soldiers killed and 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 killed. After some time, the army arrived in a certain nation. They killed its soldiers, they killed its town people, its princesses and princes and dukes and bakers and lawyers and accountants and beggars and thieves. Eventually, a shabby general came pleading for his life with tears in his eyes, but they killed him as well. However, the soldiers thought he seemed familiar and tried to recall how they might have known him. In that moment, however, the general's daughter appeared, and they became so engrossed in ending her life, they never thought about the matter again. Interesting. So wait a sec. So we have our middle brother, who is a famous general. Famous general, right? Loved to make war. Killed everything and everyone. And then they arrived in a certain nation, unnamed. They killed everything. And then a shabby general. And they killed him, and the soldiers thought he seemed familiar. Okay, we'll read the other beast-related ones, because the beast ones are associated with the 3 brothers. So let's read Beast Lord, which was... The eldest brother was a king who ruled over the nation entire. The king watched the sight unfold before him, and I laughed in a most unsettling voice as we witnessed executions upon executions, and the king contracted an illness most dire, but he would still drag his decaying flesh to the executions of all the same. In the end, the king rotted and died. His was a disgusting, foul, rotten death, but his retainers kept carrying out executions before the king's rotted corpse every day. Every day killing. Every day the rotted king and the rotted retainers and the rotted citizens and the rotted you. Holy fuck. Beast Curse was our lazy lad who everyone just loved regardless. The most amazing young man you'll ever find. One day, the youngest son was lazing about the palace as usual when he realized he could no longer hear the voices of the townspeople, and he wondered why that might be. He lazed and he wondered. He lazed and he wondered. He lazed and he wondered. Eventually, all that wondering tired him out, and he went to sleep. That is why, in that nation where all have perished from war and disease, the only sound that can be heard is the soft snoring of a young man. It is a nation of happiness. 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 So our lazy and content lord being the last survivor of this nation, it then as a result becomes a nation of happiness. The smallest of silver linings for someone that was just too absolutely lazy to do anything else. You can't really even call that a happy ending either, can you? Faith. So Faith was a famous poet in the land to the far east, every moment racked with sorrow for what had been lost. But a monk appeared and placed a blade in his hand. Kill 1 by this blade for 1 poem, 2 for 2, the likes of which will be more splendid than any world has ever heard. So the man waited for the cover of darkness and cut down a man he encountered by the roadside, and he wrote a most beautiful poem. The poet went on to kill 2 in succession. He killed 1 and wrote a poem, and killed again and wrote another, rising to almost dazzling levels of wealth and renown. But soon he became obsessed with knowing how splendid a poem he might write if he were to kill someone precious to him. He killed his wife and wrote a poem. He killed his children and wrote a poem for each. He moved through his estate, killing everyone there, writing, and writing, and writing, and writing, and writing. Eventually he killed so many passers-by that the poems could not keep up. He would kill and write, then kill and kill and kill and kill, till in the end he took his own life, no longer crafting poems at all. All that remained was a blade wet with blood. It gets to a point, you know, and I say it gets to a point as I haven't even left the one-handed sword section, that I don't even have words to describe the feelings after reading Endless Tragedy, because this is just all that these weapons are. It's honestly fascinating how depressing this game is, because it's depressing on every level. Like, it's not just the characters that you play as and the world that they're in. It's the weapons you hold. It's the villagers around you. It's the enemies you fight. It's like everything is so painful. So here's our royal sword passed down in a prodigious kingdom. This is our soul edge. Soul Calibur. One day the queen, the king's dearest love, lost her life in a tragic accident. And distraught with grief upon hearing the news, the aged king found himself unable to accept the prospect of his royal bloodline dying with him. In an attempt to continue the kingdom's legacy by attaining a body without death, the now mad High King used the sword to cut down any and all subordinates or citizens unlucky enough to cross his path. "If I am to be the final king," he was heard to cry, "then the kingdom survives so long as I live." He killed his subjects by the dozens, the hundreds, the thousands, and with each life he stole, the crystal's light grew more radiant. But when the crystal was nearly full, the king's ailing heart proved unable to bear the burden and burst, killing him on the spot. Alas, had he just slain the pregnant woman and unborn child that were before his very eyes, he would have taken exactly 10,000 lives. The damn. So the kingdom survives so long as I live. He gets to the final, basically the final point. Crystal was nearly full. He'd nearly completed it. But he exploded. So, and I love that it does sort of show you that there's that pregnant woman and unborn child. So this probably has one of the decent, happy endings in the sense that this king failed to completely reduce all life, and life will continue. It just took a shit ton of death to get there. The Phoenix Dagger. There was once a woman who promised her hand to a man who was departing for the front. She spent mornings, afternoons, and evenings in prayer for the safety of her beloved. Perhaps in response, one night a bird enveloped in light appeared to her in a dream. "The man you love will surely return safely," said the bird in a beautiful voice. These words brought great comfort to the woman. She began weeping tears of joy. "However," continued the bird, "his heart will surely not." Soon the man returned as the bird had foretold, his body covered in scars beyond counting. But as the bird had also foretold, he returned with an unfamiliar woman of extraordinary beauty at his side. Despite this, the pious woman could not contain her love for the man and ran out to meet him as he approached. Surprised, the man embraced her, then collapsed to the ground. The pious woman stood over him, a bloody dagger in one hand, and the ripe crimson fruit of his heart in the other. "His heart will stray no longer," she whispered, amidst the gathering pool of blood, her face awash with pure ecstasy. She placed a tender kiss on her beloved's heart and offered a prayer of gratitude. God damn. So that dagger was used to kill the returning man. "Hey, I've got that heart of yours now." And then the beautiful woman was just like, "Yeah, he just asked for directions and needed to walk home. I was just dropping him off. See you later." Labyrinth is really hard to say, actually. Labyrinth's whisper. So we've got a few of these same themed ones as well. The girl with a huge set of horns. The only kid like that in the whole village. The others were all normal. The kid with the horns, though, born real small, apparently. Well, the horns were, I mean, not the kid. So this is talking about the horned girl. You think a girl like that would have been bullied? Well, you'd be wrong. That kid was the hardest person for miles in any direction. She was the best at doing what work, needed physical strength and all that, and always led the charge whenever shades attacked. But one day, this huge shade attacked the village that was just too strong. It tore the men apart like old rags, and half the guys in the village died. The girl with the horns fought with all she had, but eventually she couldn't keep up, and the shade lifted her off the ground and ripped the horns straight out of her head. The way she screamed was like nothing you'd ever heard. Sound shook the earth itself, it did. After that, things got real quiet. So I stepped outside and found both the shade and the girl dead. Each of them had wounds all over, and they were leaking blood out about just about everywhere. And don't judge me for saying this now, but it was almost beautiful. Like looking at dark red flowers in full bloom, you know? Hope that answers your first question about why folks in this village can't hear nothing. But you should know none of us think badly of the girl for making us this way. Being deaf is a hell of a sight better than being dead. So that scream of having the horns ripped off deafened the whole village. Anyway, we've all talked over that day to death. Which is really funny. I'm assuming they mean if they're all deaf, they all do sign language to each other now. They've all learned sign language. Or they're just really good at lip reading. So I think that, anyway, we've all talked over that day to death, and we think that final scream was her way of saying goodbye. Everyone in the village is honored that the last thing we ever heard was her farewell, and that's the god's honest truth. Our fool's embrace. So I was saved from the despair that shackled me, freed from the fate that cursed me, pacified from the indignation that plagued me, and changed by the day I met you. My flames will scorch the earth below. My fangs will know the taste of blood. My claws will rend my enemies asunder. My wings will soar the skies above. If your eyes are to be robbed of their light, if your skin is to be stained with blood, your sword too heavy a burden, your lips no longer producing speech, even if this body is snuffed out, these words are stolen, till our contract is complete, till the moment this warmth is lost. I love that that's in the shape of a dragon, from the head being on the handle to the tail being the blade. It's such a cool, unique way of doing it. Let's get the final piece of the iron pipe. August 5th. It's so cold today. Can't believe it's summer. I can actually see my breath. We decided to hide from the monsters in an abandoned supermarket. There it is. It leads up to the event. Wow. We found a few old cans of food there, but now those are gone. And Yona's cough just won't quit. I've got a really bad feeling about this. So before that scene at the start, that's what happened. So they ran away from this government program before that. The Kusanagi. So the shield was covered in rust, and dust even. The blade left in its scabbard had rusted. The techniques were forgotten, the body had grown soft. It lost the will to practice discipline. I laughed, thinking them brainless fools. Those were the thoughts I had taken refuge in. I had given up, believing nothing was possible in the end. I lamented the foolishness and ugliness of it all. My life had lost all meaning. I had lost sight of those who were precious to me. I could not believe in their kindness. I was unable to save them from the grief that tore their hearts. I had forgotten the courage it takes to protect the smallest of joys, and believed my words would never reach you. A ritual gathering of spirits held on the night of the 10th full moon of the year, so they would boast to one another all the evil deeds they had performed during the year. The first spirit took great joy in telling of the unfathomably cruel ways she had killed some of the finest soldiers in the land. Over the year, she had transformed her shape into a lady of the night and called out to various men, then tore off every last piece of their body when they came to her bed. The soldiers, ashamed their skills could not save them, shed bitter tears as they died, and the spirit claimed they were the most delicious things she had ever tasted. The next spirit regaled the others with a story of cunning and guile. One night she threw a small boy into a bog. When his older sister came to rescue him, she too sank into the murk. These two were followed by their parents, then other siblings, then extended relatives, until finally every member of the village was sleeping at the bottom of the bog. When the spirit finished her story, she was so beside herself with glee that she did not even notice the saliva that dripped down her chin. Nervously, the smallest spirit in the group stepped forward to address the crowd. "I am the most amazing of us all," cried the oft-ridiculed spirit at the top of her lungs, "for it was I who thrust all living creatures into terror's deepest depths." The other spirits, unable to contain their mirth, collapsed to the ground and rolled about, and their laughter did not cease until the horrifying monster the small spirit had summoned from the demon world devoured each and every last one of them. God damn. Fang of the Twins. So this is the share everything. But we're not together when we die. Daddy took me and cut off my head. Mummy took my sister and cut off her head. But it's okay. Our blood got all mushed up into a big axe, so now we can be together forever. Quick and to the point, vile axe. The girl stares at the sight before her. All had suffered terribly in their final moments, and the girl can do nothing but cry as she stares at the 3 soldiers who have murdered her own family. Years later, the girl reappears, her visage made strong by her vow for revenge. The first soldier has grown so fat that the buttons on his uniform can barely contain his girth. The girl approaches him and claims to know an easy way to lose weight. On the pretext of an examination, she has him lie down on a bed before suddenly hacking off his arms and legs with an axe. The remaining lump of soldier screams and attempts to wriggle away, but the girl pins him down and tells him he still has parts he can lose. Sometime later, the girl sits in front of the now rounded torso and smiles. "Here we are," she whispers. "Look how nice and slim you are." The second soldier is a peerless Lothario. Each night, a new woman is invited to his manor to spend the night. The girl breaks into his home and kills the woman at his side, then uses her axe to hack off his manhood as he trembles and begs for mercy. The third soldier has long since left the service and is now living a quiet life with his family in a remote village. After they have fallen asleep, the girl takes her axe and cleaves the support beam of the house, causing it to collapse. She then sets fire to the wreckage, creating a great bonfire that can be seen for miles in all directions. Suddenly, the soldier's son crawls from the wreckage, covered from head to toe in terrible burns. As his eyes fall on the girl who has murdered his family, she hands him her axe and flees into the dark of night, never to be seen again. And the cycle continues. The Iron Will, which I think we already finished. The Phoenix Sword. It was a beautiful bird with resplendent feathers that lived a quiet life deep in the forest. One day, a lost child wandered into the woods. He came from a place of famine and had been abandoned in the forest as a way to reduce the number of mouths to feed. Taking pity on the feeble, starving child, the beautiful bird plucked one of its own feathers and gave it to him. When he returned home, his family was overjoyed by the feather and permitted him to live with them once more. Hearing the child's story, one person after another descended on the forest to tell the beautiful bird how poor and unfortunate they were. Each time, the bird would pluck a feather and give it away, pluck a feather and give it away, until it had no more to give, and its once beautiful visage had become shabby beyond recognition. But the shabby bird had no regrets. One day, the original child appeared before the shabby bird, which was featherless and freezing in the cold. He had come, seeking a bird with resplendent feathers, that he might repay the creature's earlier kindness. Overjoyed, the shabby bird said to the child, "It is I you seek. If I might beg a favor, would you hold me to your chest and warm my freezing body?" Sparing a single glance at the shabby bird, the child called it a liar and cut it down with a large blade. He then roasted the bird, ate every last part, and set out anew to find the beautiful bird who had once saved his life. Oh, that one just fucking sucked, didn't it? It's like this element of, like, pain that, like, people that, like, they just want to help people, you know? And they're like, "I'll help you, and I'll keep helping you," you know? Until, like, they're unrecognizable because they've just been used and drained of all of their goodwill to the point where they're absolutely unrecognizable. Labyrinth's Song. Okay. A beast that lived in a cavern's deepest, most untouched depths. Massive horns. Steel body. Scorching breath. Peace-loving villagers hated this monstrous beast with the head of a bull and the body of a human. They feared it. And soon became known as the Minotaur of the Labyrinth. Contrary to its terrifying appearance, the Minotaur was exceptionally kind. Not only did it refrain from harming other creatures, it took great care not to trample flowers beneath its oafish feet as it walked. Indeed, the reason it lived so deep inside a cavern was to help avoid frightening the villagers. One day, a lost girl wandered into the beast's cavern. Frightened by the sight of it, she cried so hard she eventually passed out, which left the beast in quite the quandary. "I have no choice," the beast finally decided. "I must take the poor thing back to the village. Her mother and father will be terribly worried." 2 days after the girl vanished, her panicked parents found her sleeping soundly in front of their home. On the ground a short distance away was the dead body of the Minotaur. It had been impaled by several swords, and the blood scattered around it held an almost otherworldly quality. Yet there was no indication that the beast had attacked the girl. In fact, it looked as though it had been trying to place as much distance between itself and her as possible, so as not to dirty her with its blood, almost as if it didn't want her to be afraid. And then, having curled up to made itself as small as possible, the monster died. The ones that are like related to like misunderstood creatures, or the phoenix, or people that are misunderstood and only treated at face value of their appearance, I find them to be some of the more depressing ones to read. Absolutely. Fool's Lament gave us the June 6, 2003 memoir about the weapon and the dragon. June 12, 2003. The giant, which was locked in combat with the dragon, suddenly begins to collapse for reasons unknown. The dragon is then shot down by the 6th Division, 303rd Squadron of the Air Self-Defense Force. No official record exists of those who issued the order to attack the dragon. Work has begun to retrieve the remains of both the giant and the dragon, but no official verification has ever been made regarding which organization performed the retrieval. December 2003. The first case of white chlorination syndrome is confirmed in Tokyo's Shinjuku ward. July 2004. Humans continue to turn violent due to white chlorination syndrome, with fighting growing increasingly intense in infected regions. The cause of the disease still unclear, the infected are isolated, and violent riots suppressed by force. Main thoroughfares are sealed and rail transportation is halted, later leading to all of Shinjuku being sealed off. At this time, the prospect of asking the American military for non-official intervention is considered, but the government defers. Meanwhile, research begins on mesoparticles obtained from the giant and the dragon, as well as on countermeasures for white chlorination syndrome. This research ultimately leads to the founding of Project Gestalt a decade later. And there it is. Wow. So there was the white chlorination syndrome, but then there's also the Black Scroll. So there's sort of lore in regards to the weapon and then the dragon. It's fascinating to read more like realistic stuff where it's like the American military and stuff that's going on in Tokyo, and just like being in obviously the 21st century and seeing like the origins of something so far and away to this game. Transients. We had frighteningly diligent people. We had frighteningly studious people. Now we had frighteningly obedient people. Without ever being told, they would greet the morning sun at the same time, in the same clothes, while toiling away in the same cramped rooms. Yet there was not a single one among them who complained, for none knew what else they should be doing. Having worked far too much, people lost their forests and took to living atop the sand. Having grown far too intelligent, people conversed in a language that no other peoples could comprehend. Having grown far too well behaved, people were unable to defy the laws that would be established one after the other, and came to live their lives enclosed by tens of thousands of rules. Wow. So there we go. We're seeing the origins of Facade, which is incredible, actually. So frighteningly diligent. Oh, and here we go. Yeah, this is the thing. Especially when you're reading this with the context of the wolves. They would clear forests and hunt animals even when they had no need. And this is like that grudge that was building on the wolf side of things, of like, why are we being slain? For what reason? And they were just being killed even when they had no need. Techniques to preserve food they were unable to eat, and earned more money than could ever be spent, which is the fascinating part of why Facade pays you so much money when you complete these jobs. There was not a single one among them who did not accept these practices, for none knew of any other customs. The calculation in science exceeded any pretense of practicality, and they would repeatedly engage in spirited debates regarding predictions of the future. They invented an increasingly difficult language, which is of course why people in Facade, they speak the way that they do. Created an infinite series of complex machines, which they would immediately discard, is quite interesting. And then, the obedience. The morning sun, same clothes, toiling away the same cramped rooms, and they didn't complain. And then, the people lost their forests and took to living atop the sand. Too intelligent, no one could comprehend their language, and too well behaved, so just so many rules. Incredible to read weapon stories and get to the end and see it come around to something and what it's related to within the world. Spear of the Usurper, the double for the nation's prince. So basically, he returned to the prince's chamber, and the princess lying naked in the bed as the double stood in place. The man who shared his face invited him to join them. So, yeah. Prince and princess getting a bit freaky, and also with the body double. The double loved the prince's sister, and he felt that the princess, who admired him as her brother, loved him as well. Indeed, she was the only thing that kept him going in an otherwise miserable job, for the prince was a most despicable man indeed. Eventually it came to pass that a war was to be waged under the prince's command. The night before it was to begin, the prince took his double aside and promised him a night with his sister if he could bring him the head of the enemy general. And as the prince chuckled with delight, the double took up his spear and thrust it through the prince's gaping mouth. The war over, the prince made a queen of his sister and would inflict wounds upon his own face and throat, an act which would occur every time she called out to him using her brother's name. Before long, the prince was found dead, his face burned, and a spear thrust through his open mouth. The man's face, hideously burned, was the very picture of serenity. God damn. The Devil Queen. The story takes place in a small country around the same latitude as the northernmost member of a nation of city-states that are part of a region with a village that is attempting to establish a trade agreement with another village on a tiny island in the ocean south of the country that used to have an alliance with a republic next to a kingdom where a queen resided. Have you got all that? Level 2. It was asked by the owner of a shop frequented by a wet nurse who looked after the child born of an adulterous relationship by the wife of the master of a foolish servant who fell in love with a beautiful queen who appears in the poems of a minstrel whom was loved by the country's king's wife, little brother's cousin's big brother's son-in-law's foster child. You fucking goddamn, why are you writing it like this? Where does one store the throne that was supposed to be adorned with decorations crafted from the materials of the handle of the lid of a pot that is the same weight as tableware, that is the same color as a weather vane on a neighboring house that can be seen from the peephole of a door and the reflection of a mirror with an ornamental frame decorated with silver carvings engraved with a fragment that was made when creating the whetstone used to polish this kitchen knife? The person who had heard that question was the wife's husband's little sister's big brother's daughter's groom's little brother's nephew's father's mother's husband's bride's niece's father-in-law's wife's husband little sister's big brother's daughter's groom's little brother's nephew's father's mother's husband's bride's niece's wife's husband's little sister's big brother's daughter's groom's little brother's nephew's father's mother's husband's bride's niece's father-in-law's wife's father's little sister's big brother's daughter's groom little brother's nephew's father's mother's husband's bride's niece's father-in-law's wife's husband's little sister's big brother's daughter's groom's little brother's nephew's father's. Fuck you for not finishing the story. Sunrise. In the distant past of a land known as the Golden Isle, there existed a sword crafted from every kind of metal and precious gem in the land. In a strange turn of fate, the sword eventually ended up in the hands of a destitute woman who sold her body to get by. The sword was as long as she was tall, and she could not wield it effectively, so she instead slid it between her sheets as a surprise for the men who used her. The sword was so sharp they felt no pain when cut, and soon died without even knowing it was happening. The woman would then help herself to their coin, causing her own purse to swell. Making use of her gains, the woman dressed most beautifully and soon had acquired every kind of metal and precious gem in the land. But it was not enough for her, so she decided to melt down the sword and obtain the gems contained within, a desire made manifest by the sword's beauty. Thus decided, the woman heaved the sword to her shoulders and made for the blacksmith. But on the way to the blacksmith, the sheer weight of the sword caused the woman to lose her balance, and she fell from a bridge into the river below. So unshakable was the woman's greed that she could not bring herself to relinquish her grip upon it. The woman's pale and bloodless corpse was found washed up on the riverside the following day. Greed. Goddamn. And then it's like you get to these points where it's like the title of these weapons only become clear to you at like the end. Her body being discovered, you know, the next day at sunrise. Captain's holy spear. Captain tramples life under his feet. The screams of others transform into songs of joy. Flowing tears change from despair into kindness. Conflict beckons revenge and gives way to new solitude. It's a little one, that one. The Dragoon Lance. We get to read this one all the way from the very beginning. He had grown old. The king's dauntless gaze had lost its light, and his stalwart body had grown soft. Once more, every ounce of fear and vanity he had gained with age now gnawed away at his heart. The king was afraid, so he repeatedly ordered the invasion of neighboring countries so as to hold on to the lands he had been sworn to protect. The king was afraid, so he tried to take everything through violence and oppression. He no longer trusted his own advisors and vassals. There was a dragon that had sworn fealty to the king. This wingless creature would do anything the king commanded, for he had been saved by the king once and sworn to repay this debt with his very soul. Even if the king's orders were folly and madness, the dragon would follow them to the last, for his king was justice itself. One day, the dragon requested an audience with the king. He was covered in blood from his latest victim, the king's own son, who the regent had ordered the dragon to assassinate. The bloody dragon hung his head low and said, "I cannot defy your orders, O king, but neither can I obey them any longer. I beg of you, kill me and grant me release." This is the tale of a foolish king and a wingless dragon in a nation that fell centuries ago. Even now, the wind blows ceaselessly across the grasslands. It blows just as it did on the day the king and dragon made their pact. A foolish king and a wingless dragon. God damn. Doesn't mention the dragon being wingless before that. Oh no, never mind. It does. No wings on that chicken. So it had always been wingless. So it was not allowed to, it couldn't even fly away. So it was just, grant me release. I wonder if he was granted release or if they both were. Alright, we have the Phoenix Spear, once a warrior in a frontier nation who feared not death. A beautiful bird appeared before him in a dream. The bird commended the warrior for his valor in battle and offered to grant him one of two wishes. The bird could bring an end to war and grant peace to all the world, or the bird could bequeath the warrior an immortal body. Right, he chose immortality. From that day forth, the warrior's exploits were nothing short of astonishing. He mowed down foes in uncountable numbers. No amount of arrows or swords or axes could slow his march. The king showered him with titles and gifts, and for a time, it seemed the warrior's days of stunning glory would continue until the end of time. But conflict did not cease. Eventually, the warrior's frontier nation was invaded, so often that the flames of war left the entire country in ruins. Crops withered, people perished, and before long, there were none left who even knew the warrior's name. The shattered warrior was tortured day and night by endless starvation, but his body refused to let him die. So he sought out the bird again and pleaded for it to grant him release. "Ah, but you cannot die," chirped the bird in response. "You will never die." And there it is. The curse of immortality is eventually you will be the last thing left. And you will still continue to exist. There will be no end for you ever. So think about that before you get immortality. I think if you had immortality with a way out, you know, you can opt out of existence. Be like, okay, I'm done now. Let me off this ride. That's what you would need as your little failsafe. Otherwise, you are screwed. Labyrinth's shout, a hopelessly slow woman. Impossibly clumsy, it would take her 3 times longer than anyone to accomplish a task. She was a hopelessly dull woman. When she fell and drew blood, she would carry on as though in a daze. Though coins often dropped from her purse, she never managed to retrieve one, and if someone spoke ill of her to her face, it would take hours for her to realize the insult. When the children saw her, they would hurl rocks with glee. She was a hopelessly foolish woman. One summer, when the village was suffering a most terrible drought, the woman vanished. The children all starved to death. The villagers spent no time worrying about the woman who ran away. 2 days later, rain fell and the village was saved, but the woman did not return. And on the 20th day, a shaman arrived at the village. The shaman held a spear with a pair of horns that was oiled and sticky to the touch. So heavy was the spear that none could wield it effectively. Even if they managed to lift it, the weapon was incapable of piercing through anything at all. The shaman forced it on the people and left it with them, but none dared approach it, and to this day it quietly slumbers in a forgotten corner of the village. How interesting. So 3 times longer to accomplish a task. Walk slowly, talk slowly, blink slowly. So slow was the woman she could not draw water to anyone's satisfaction. She was called the cow, and she would only chuckle in response. She was dull. When she fell and drew blood, she would carry on as though in a daze. She never managed to retrieve a coin that dropped from her purse, and it would take her hours to realize insults. They would hurl rocks at her with glee, and then she was foolish. So the woman vanished, the children all starved, the villagers spent no time worrying about the woman. And 2 days later, rain fell and the village was saved, but the woman did not return. And then a shaman comes with a spear that was oiled and sticky. What do we even take away from that? That the old woman... I don't know. Something happened in relation to the old woman and this spear. Because it's like the whole horns thing being like a minotaur and she was being called a cow. And it quietly slumbers in a forgotten corner of the village. God damn. I reckon that it's that the lady must have, like, sacrificed herself to help the village or something like that. I don't know. And then the weapon was like, here you go. The old woman got turned into a stick. Fool's Accord. This is the story of a sorrowful prince, a tale of a kingdom in a time long past. Attacked by the forces of darkness, the nation was annihilated in a single night by inhuman soldiers with red eyes and a group of black dragons so numerous they blotted out the sky. So this was about this. The prince and princess, though racked with sorrow, escaped to live another day. This is the story of a terrifying prince, a history of a conflict in the long ago. Obsessed with laying low his hated enemies, the prince indulges in his vengeance day after day after day. Even when faced with foes who take heel, he chases them down and tears them apart from groin to gullet. The carnage is so horrific, his fellow soldiers whisper tales of how they saw him mutilating bodies that are already long dead. Perhaps no commander can control him, the prince is sent to an even harsher battle. This is the story of a fooled prince, the whereabouts of fate in the long ago. The prince's next background is a castle that guards a goddess. He lays waste to all before him, hacking arms, cleaving legs, rending stomachs, gouging eyes, separating heads from shoulders. But soon the injured prince can no longer tell the difference between the blood that rains down and which comes from his own wounds, and he collapses in a heap. As he writhes in pain, coughing up gouts of hot blood, he lifts his gaze and sees a hated dragon standing before him. This is the story of a mad prince, a meeting with a dragon in the long ago. An injured red dragon stands before the prince, and though it is a different color than the beasts that killed his parents, he feels the need to avenge himself upon it regardless. But as he raises his sword, the dragon says, "In exchange for both our souls, human, I will save your life and grant you power." After some thought, the prince makes the pact. It matters not to him what he might lose in the deal, or that it involves a dragon. All he cares about is that he can continue swinging his blade. So he swings, and swings, and swings, and with each blow his heart fills with a desire as black as the deepest night. He becomes a black dragon all himself. Pretty crazy. I wonder if whenever there's this mention of like a red dragon, if that is the same one or similar ones across all these stories. But there you go. That was reading all of the weapons. The weapon collection has been completed and read in its entirety. And now we face the Shadowlord. Darkness. Black without end. It goes on and on and on. Eyes closed, eyes open, it matters not. The dark is joined by a mysterious sensation, one created by the mingling of blissful sleep with the unease of terrible, never-ending cold. Is this a dream? Thinking to pinch his cheek, he reaches for his face, but his hand does not move. In fact, his hand has disappeared altogether. He looks at his arms and sees only bone. He looks at his feet and sees they have disappeared, along with the rest of his legs up to the thigh. What body remains begins to leave him, then crumbling into fragments smaller than dust. His body is going. Soon it will be no more. Is this death? Suddenly he recalls his past. He remembers the time he lived with his sister, and the very act of recollection is like a shooting star. Despite lasting only a moment, it brings color to the darkness. Soon more memories come, gathering atop each other, one after the next, until they meld into a warm and glorious light. Emil's dream promise. So after Emil's sacrifice against Popola, here we are. Another dream sequence. This is a very fitting point for it to be added. Wake up. Wake up. A set of covers are torn from the boy, leaving his eyelids exposed to the merciless sun. Hey there, lazy bones, says the voice again. The boy's vision, blurry at first, gradually grows more clear before him. Her face aglow with a radiant smile is his older twin sister, Halua. Older twin sister. And you have an older twin who's older by 2 seconds. And unfortunately had a little bit more of a manly voice than I thought at the start, because I was like, maybe it's going to be one of those mean dudes that drags Emil around, but no, it's his sister, so I need to adjust that voice. Morning, Halua. Don't look so cheery, you butt. The teacher's going to be here any minute. Halua grabs her brother and pulls him beneath the bed with her, where they wait with a host of dust bunnies for their instructor's arrival. The moment Emil starts to ask a question, Halua shushes him by placing a finger over his mouth. Don't start. We agreed to this yesterday, remember? We're going to jump out and give teacher the scare of her life. After a few ticks of the clock, the door opens and a slight woman enters the room. Good morning, Halua. Good morning, Emil. Are you ready for... Emil glances at his sister and sees her trying to stifle a laugh, which has the unfortunate effect of making a laugh rise in him. Then the dust bunnies decide to get in on the act, swirling up into their noses and causing the tricksters to sneeze in unison. Suddenly, the face of their teacher appears in the space between the bed and the floor. There you are, you scamps. This is your fault, says Halua. You ruined it by sneezing. Me? Cries a clearly wounded Emil. You sneeze just as loud. That's enough, both of you, says the teacher as she attempts to hide her amusement. Crawl out from under there and let me take your temperatures already. The pair happily shimmies out from their hiding place and stand before their teacher. She is a fair woman with a kind voice, one Emil would be happy to listen to for the rest of his life. In fact, he often thought that her waking him in the morning was his favorite part of the day. The teacher finds her seat, hunkers down, and lightly pats her leg, to which a happy Emil leaps into her lap. She then slides a chilly thermometer under his armpit, causing a shudder to race through his body. I'm sorry, just be a brave boy for a little longer, okay? Emil used to hate having his temperature taken daily. The thermometer was just so darn cold. But he's become used to it after being at the facility for the past 2 years. His mother and father had perished in an accident many years before. He'd been told the facility they sent him to was simply a home for orphans such as himself, but he's always had his doubts. After all, most orphanages weren't staffed by doctors in white coats who held lessons involving the repeated asking of strange questions, nor did they attach wires to the bodies of their charges and force them to enter enormous boxes. The process is endless, the tests unceasing, and yet Emil feels his teacher somehow floats above it all. She would talk to him about everyday problems, read him books, and even share a meal when time permitted. She is the closest thing he has to a mother. With both of their temperatures taken, Emil and Halua wait for breakfast. But something is different this day. Their teacher is strange somehow. Off. Emil, she says quietly, do you remember what day this is? Emil looks over to his sister and sees her staring at him with an enormous grin. Nuh-uh, she says, you gotta figure it out yourself. Despite his best efforts, Emil comes up empty. I'm sorry, ma'am, he says at last, I just don't know. With a smile, the teacher reaches into the pocket of her white coat and withdraws a small package. It is a bag, neatly closed with string and tied at the top with a bright red ribbon. Happy birthday, Emil, she says. In fact, happy birthday to the both of you. Oh, thank you, cries Emil. Can I open it? Of course, replies the teacher. I'm afraid it's nothing so special, but I do hope you enjoy it regardless. Emil carefully unties the ribbon and opens the bag to reveal a small pile of cookies. They are the same snacks they always received at the facility, but the fact they come from his teacher makes them somehow special. As a gasp escapes his mouth, his sister can't help giggling beside him, her eyes fixated on the bright red ribbon all the while. I wonder how Yona acquired her cookies. Happy birthday, Halua, says Emil as he reaches into the bag, withdraws a cookie, and offers it to his sister. Needing no further encouragement, the girl crams the cookie into her mouth and swallows it in 2 bites. Happy birthday to you too, Emil. Then, as though remembering something, she leaps up and runs to the small chest of drawers the two of them share. After forcing open a stubborn drawer, she pulls out a single sheet of paper hidden under a white coat and runs it back to her brother. Here's your present, she says, thrusting the paper at him with a slightly embarrassed look. When he glances down, he sees the words, Happy Birthday, Emil, scrawled in a shaky child's hand, along with a picture of a generously colored person who had clearly been created from every crayon in the box. That was me. Unable to stop himself, Emil wraps his sister in a massive hug. Thank you, he whispers as she returns the embrace just as tightly. I'll make sure to draw you on our next birthday, okay? My sister was there. My teacher was there. It was my birthday. I thought I could never be happier. I'm glad Halua's drawing is the last thing I'll remember. I sense a deep and perfect darkness descending over my eyes and realize my time has come. I'm so terribly cold. As I try desperately to remember what it felt like to be embraced, I wonder if this horrible face is all that's left of me. Halua, I'm sorry. Couldn't keep my promise. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I'm coming to join you now. Just hold on.
Wake up. Wake up. Please, wake up. Come on, Emil. Wake up already.
Halua? Is that you?
You haven't changed a bit, have you, lazy bones?
Halua, have you come for me? Am I dead?
No, Emil. You're not dead. I'm just here to keep my promise.
In that moment, the world of blackness surrounding me explodes with color. Red, yellow, blue, and so many others, colors I have no names for, colors I've never even seen. It's like someone is using every crayon in the box.
I told you I'd always be watching over you, didn't I?
Halua, I don't...
Don't worry about it, you butt. Looking after little brothers is just what big sisters do.
Her voice, it's fading.
Sorry, Emil. Looks like I'm out of magic.
Hello, wait, let me come with you.
But you are with me. I'll always watch over you. So we'll always be together.
Hello, no, don't go.
Don't cry, Emil. I want you to be happy.
Hello.
Promise me that you'll live for both of us.
Damn. Fucking hell. God damn it. Alua saved Emil from perishing and said, doink, and flicked his beautiful spherical head across the desert. The darkness enveloping me flows away, replaced by a brilliant blue sky. I don't know where I am or what I'm supposed to do. But it's okay that I'm here. I know that much now. She's given me the courage to accept that. No more crying. I'll live with a smile on my face. Because that's the promise I made her. God damn it. These dreams are so powerful with how they're written with these characters, these tragic characters. And I do really appreciate them being written in a sense with the music to accompany it, because it's a very like visual experience that you create, you know? With your, like, because it's internal, it's dreams and memories. And we've got the achievement for experiencing all of those now. God, just that scream. Grimoire Weiss has lost all of his powers. So it's said with ending C, it says complete or obtain all weapons. Proceed to the end of the story for a decision. So I'm assuming we are approaching a decision. And that's why we're keeping a save file intact, because if it's a decision, maybe you'll want to see both angles to it. Let's proceed with our first decision.
I have something to defend. I have a reason to live.
It's so hypocritical. He's saying the same thing.
Shadowlord.
You both have a reason to live. It's so interesting and conflicting to have a protagonist like this that you see his side, but then you get so frustrated with him because he doesn't have any shred of empathy for the other side at all, even when he like learns about that they're humans, even when he knows that they're showing a modicum of intelligence, whether they're doing things or talking, whatever. But he has an interesting moment of shaking his head there that I always think about, that there's something going on internally before he decides to land the killing blow. But he's such a conflicting protagonist because he is very focused on his heroic mission of, I want to, you know, protect Yona. That's all he cares about. It's also all the Shadowlord cares about. The painfulness of, if that's even a word, the pain of not being able to understand.
Well, ain't that precious.
The shade language.
I'm happy for him.
Ooh. Okay, this is new.
You know, Sunshine, that black scrawl has almost completely taken you over.
Yeah, I know.
But goddamn, we had fun, huh? Killing and killing and more killing. What a rush.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's no Emil to help anymore.
Wait. No! No! It wasn't fun at all! I turned you into a killing machine. I spread evil and chaos around the world. But it all feels so empty now. Why? I don't understand.
Oh.
Sorry. Looks like you stayed inside me for a little too long. Sunshine.
Stop! Don't be nice to me! Don't make me feel like this!
Wow. Ooh.
I'm gonna swallow you up, Sunshine.
Oh, we're still playing.
I'm gonna swallow you whole.
Whoa, okay, we're still playing. See, for a second, I was thinking, and what I've been thinking is the decision, because it was like, collect the weapons, replay the story for a decision. And I was thinking it was the moment where we're holding the sword up to the Shadowlord and we like shake our head and then we like slice him and it's done. In the back of my mind, I was thinking that might be where perhaps we make a different choice, something like that. I don't know. This is something else. And just want to finish my thought beforehand about, just our protagonist. He's so conflicting in that sense because obviously we as the player have so much more information than he does. So it's frustrating, not in the negative way to play as him, but it's like, goddamn. But he is also presented with some level of information to know that there is way more to the shades, and he still is just like, it doesn't matter because they're in the way between myself and Yona. It's just, very conflicting. But would you look at this?
Kaine? What is it?
Listen to me. The shade inside me is growing, and I can't stop it. Soon, real soon, I'm gonna go berserk.
I can't hold it back anymore.
Kaine, you have to fight. You have to...
Just shut up and listen to me. Emil is gone, all right? So there's no way anyone can stop me. Please. Before it comes to that, I want you to kill me. Consider it a final request.
Fuck. Okay. Tehran, I don't want to hurt my
What the hell,
friends.
Sunshine? It's not like I can stop it. When Gestalts go out of control, they lose their minds. Both of our memories will be completely overridden.
Oh, fuck. Hurry. Both of them. Run. Run. So both of them will get their memories wiped, even Kaine and Tehran. Oh my god. Whoa. Oh, and Grimoire Vice. I don't have any powers anymore. Oh my god, she's holding on with everything. You defeated the Shadowlord. You rescued Yona. I'm trying to read dialogue while getting smacked in the face. But now I can't. Whoa, Jesus. Ah!
We made it this far because you were with us, Kaine. I'm who I am today because of you. I'm not going to give up on you. I'm not going to abandon the one I love.
Oh my god.
I'm going to save you. I swear it.
Fuck.
Well, there might be one way to save her.
Who said that?
It don't matter, so don't ask. Just shut up and listen.
I heard him.
Wait, are you?
I said, listen!
Oh!
There's a way to save Kaine's life, all right? But you're gonna have to make a difficult decision.
Okay, it's the decision.
Do whatever it takes.
When the time comes, I'm going to pin Kaine down. And as soon as I do, you need to stab her in the heart.
No, I can't.
Fine. Don't believe me. Stand around with your thumb up your ass and watch her die a terrible death.
Whoa.
Damn it.
We can, this is our first time actually acknowledging and hearing a shade and being like, whoa, what the hell? That's fucked. Okay, so we're gonna have to make a decision. There's a way to save her, which is stab her in the heart. So this is why we have a backup save file, I assume, for both decisions. Wow. Whoa!
Very nice. Now, if you want to save your precious Kaine, there are two ways to do it. One is to plunge your sword into her chest. That's what she wants after all. Freedom from burdens, freedom from life.
What's the other way?
The other way is to make her a normal human being again. But to make that happen, you gotta trade your own existence for hers. Well, there you go. Good luck with that.
You're that shade. The one who lives inside Kaine. Why are you trying to help her?
Probably for the same reason you are. Enough talk. Make your choice.
Wow. So the choice is to save her by granting her her wish, freedom from life. And I assume that what it means by us giving our own life so she can be human again is we would allow her to, we would like vacate the, would we vacate the shell we're in and allow her to reside within it instead? I don't know how the logistics of that work. Subdue the out-of-control Kaine. I think the first decision we should make is to grant her wish. Do I talk to her or do I just go, hey up? I think I talk to her first. What should I do? End Kaine's life and free her from her burden, or sacrifice your own existence to make Kaine human again? Fuck, this is not the decision I thought I was making. I thought it was going to be in regards to like Yona and the Shadowlord. So this is crazy. All right, we're going to choose decision 1. We're going to grant Kaine's wish. Oh, we're just right there. Okay. Fuck. This is so brutal. Oh. So now you care about her shade, do you? Right at the end.
Kaine. Let's go home.
Can you hear me?
Whoa.
I spent years inside Kaine's body, tormenting her from within. I felt her pain, her emotions, as if they were my own. And there was so much pain. So when I say she's free now, I want you to believe me. Thanks to you, Kaine has been forgiven and saved. Oh, wait. She had a final message for you. Thank you.
Kaine. We'll always be together.
I guess Yona was just watching that one happen. Wow, okay. God, and then this tragically beautiful music. We'll always be together. Oh my god. Just flicking to the shot of the sword already all the way in. I didn't expect the little, like, going in for a kiss, especially in shade form. Wow. So the end credits last time was Emil's head. I'm very curious as to what our credits scene will be now. Oh, it's a lot to process, this one, I tell you. I'll tell you, 3 endings in, it just gets more brutal every time. So the shade finally takes over, but something that's so amazing is even seeing how something as dark and twisted as this shade that initially approached her so long ago was changed by her in response to how she felt about NieR and Vice to some extent. Stupid floating magazine. It's such a mismatch of characters across NieR, Vice, Emil, and Kaine, and I love all 4 of them so much because they're all so tragic. I think that's how they come through. Not the book, of course. The book is less tragic. He's a floating amnesia until the very end, and then he's gone, but goddamn. Every single character gets these tragic farewells out of those 3. We're going to see what is at the end of these credits, and then I guess we go into the other decision, and we sacrifice our life for hers. Nothing at the end of the credits this time. Nothing. Okay. Nothing at the end of the credits. All right, I have a backup save. So I save over 1. Bam, A, B, and C. Look, I got my beautiful stamps all in a row. Yeah, there it is. Your choice in this decision could allow you to view the very last piece of the ending. Ending D. It continues. Okay. So, I'm curious though, because I'm told to make a backup save that if because if I reload this save, then I have to go from the halfway point of the game. So this saves me the effort of going through that again. I'm really curious though, because then what is it going to stamp this as D instead of C? I guess so. All right, so we're going to load the selected file, and we will now be doing the exact same thing, except we will make the choice at the very end to sacrifice our life for Kaine. All right, it's decision time. Here we are. This time, we give up our life for hers. Sacrifice your own existence to make Kaine human again.
disappear from this world. Your sister, your friends, everyone in your life will forget you. You and any sign that you ever existed will be erased. But in exchange, Kaine will return to her mortal life.
If you choose this option, all of your save data will be erased. Are you sure about this? Fuck. Damn. So if we chose this option first, it's so nice of the game to go, hey, are you sure? Are you sure? It's going to erase my save data. Well, this is why I get so happy that I am privileged to record my playthroughs so the memories are there forever. But holy fuck, I'm going to be erasing my save data and my journey. We have to do it because we've come this far. Oh my... Even if you elect against it this time, you can always return to this selection by clearing the game again. Are you still sure about this? All save data will be erased, so you can only choose this option once. Are you really sure about this? Are you really, really sure? Please tell me that you're sure. You can't just mash A. Yeah. This is your last chance to change your mind. Are you really, really sure about this? You are fucking with me now. Come on. Oh, you have to... See, you can't just accidentally mash A all the way through this. Enter the name of the player to be erased. The way that it, like, I have to say my name and be erased. The correct name was entered. All save files will be erased. Dude, it's removing all of my shit. It's intentionally removing all of my shit. That is unbelievable. Wow. Not all of my fish. No, my fish. I worked so hard on that. This is actually insane that it doesn't just do, like, it just doesn't just take you back to the menu. It just slowly but surely reduces everything in your grimoire. Oh, all my stats. There's my stats. There we go. I've recorded my stats on screen before they were erased forever. Holy fuck. No more fragments. Ah! Oh, the middle save I had when I was young. I was but a boy then. That is fucking crazy. Now what? Kaine and Yona go off in the sunset together? Holy shit. Will she remember me?
Are you all right?
My memories are... My existence is gone, right?
It was you. The one who helped me, I mean. Wasn't it? Thank you so much.
I'm glad you're okay.
What's wrong? Huh? I mean, you defeated the Shadowlord and everything, but you don't look happy.
I don't?
Ooh. The lunar tear that we gave her.
This is a lunar tear. How pretty. Are you crying?
Yeah. I guess I am. It's like I just found something special. Something very special.
Is that credits? Oh my god. And we're on the music box version of this theme. And all of my history with this game has been erased. They go, you get to the end, you make the other choice to save Kaine, and you erase your existence, not just within the world, but in the game. That is actually insane. And so Yona has completely forgotten about us. Our existence is gone. And Kaine also, except there's something there. She has a flash of us and is confused. And the lunar tear is a interesting reminder of that too. That is fascinating. So now Yona and Kaine just get to exist together. But what kind of world comes after that? You know what I mean? Like, what do they do? Emil's out there somewhere. So I guess Emil will be reunited with them. I'm trying to think of like the world and the future, because the Shadowlord's been defeated. The plans are over. Devler and Poplar are gone. The Shades would persist in a sense because there are still so many of them. And then just, I don't know, eventually the shells would die out. Shades would possess their bodies, blend in, you know, try and be some form of human. There's so much to think about, but holy crap. I'm very, very, very curious. I hope that there's something after the credits here, because there wasn't for ending C in the same way that there was for B with Emil's head. So I wonder what's going to be here. But what a incredible game. The way that you are so committed to your journey, you get here at the end, you're presented with the choice to sacrifice yourself to save Kaine out of this act of love. It's honestly really hard to even process, because there's a part of me that believes that the character of NieR, this character, wouldn't do that as much as he loves Kaine because of his sister, but I don't know. I mean, he's done it. That's why there's a decision to be made, and if he makes the decision, he's completely erased from existence. Every mention of him gone, and we've just watched our whole status get slowly and systematically deleted. Yeah, I don't know if he would make this choice normally outside of our gameplay input, you know? Like, I feel like he would grant Kaine his wish and free her, and then NieR and Yona live somewhat happily ever after. That's an incredible detail. Ray Chase in the credits has literally no detail about who he voices. That is actually a crazy level of detail to include after this choice. The attention to detail is so impressive sometimes, even just like to the finer points. Like, we're just in the credits, but the credits is treated as, like, within the game in that sense. He's been erased, so who does he voice in the credits? You don't know. There's no save data either. There's no evidence. And now I'm going to have to let this roll to the end, boot up the game, and have no save data anymore. I'm actually wondering if there will be something there, just to, like, have some evidence that there was a journey, that I played this game, or whether or not it's just completely wiped. Like, congratulations on finishing the game and getting the endings. We are now deleting your existence. See you later. I'm trying to think of any other game that even does something like that. Just feels so unique. And very dangerous. But that's also why they say, are you sure? Like 600 times before you have to press yes. Luckily, we've done everything else that we possibly could at that point in time. The only things that we didn't get to achieve in this game were those few side quests when we were younger, and that will be forever a stain on my soul. It says something. It just says something very special. You viewed the fourth ending, ending D, and it is saved and just says, thanks for playing. Thanks for playing Existentialism Simulator. Have a good day. Oh, there's the thing. It has left a little mark. There is a tiny mark of our journey, and it's the lunar tear. I don't know why I keep saying, I've said lunar tear by accident now instead of saying lunar tear. If I press continue, it's gone. That's it. I've done ending C and D. And we sit on the main menu with a lunar tear in a body of water. Kaine and Yona live happily ever after due to my sacrifice. Thank you so much for joining me for NieR Replicant. I hope you truly, truly appreciated this adventure that we embarked on together. What a fascinating video game experience. Very slow to start, and something that I struggled with in the beginning of everything that we did. Oh, let's let this play now. I can finally watch this. I think that there's a couple of them, because one starts with Kaine yelling, and I've just quickly closed it. But there's a couple here. We can let it run now while I process my emotions, and we can see this crazy journey that took place. But I hope you have enjoyed the journey that we've gone on together. I had no idea what to expect when we first got into this.
You can save Yona, Vice.
The patrons, I can't fucking talk right now, I'm so sorry. The lunar tear, patrons, my patrons, my beautiful patrons finally pushed this, and we've played it, and I'm so happy that I have it. I'm happy that I stuck with it after the struggle from the first playthrough, getting through all of the farming and the fishing and the fetch quests. But I did it because I felt that there was something special here that was absolutely worth doing, you know, in regards to the stories of these characters in the world, and that there's something underneath the surface, especially in regards to stuff like this. Just it's worth trying to squeeze out every single detail, even leveling up all of my weapons. That beautiful progress has been erased. Getting all my weapons to maximum level to read all of those stories and to comment on those as well. Cultivating and farming ourselves a lunar tear. Fishing for legendary fish. It does make me want to go and do those other... it makes me want to do those other quests that we missed. Even if there's barely any reason to do them. This is a crazy intro because it shows shit from the very end. What the fuck was that? There was a shot in there that I hadn't seen yet. I'm wondering if that's from like a quest, one of the earlier quests or something, but that felt weird. But it shows stuff from the end of the game, like the final ending points, which is insane to me. I always dislike it when games in an intro movie do that, even if it's out of context. They even show Yona grown up.
We were hoping to put it off for 100 years or so.
I shall fight by their side, now and forever.
I'm tired of this world and everybody in it.
Dude.
But I'll become his sword one last time.
No! Kaine!
I'm gonna save you! I swear it!
Thanks for always being there for me.
That's crazy how much is in there. That always is like a painful thing, because I'm like, there's just so much in there. That's why I don't like to watch those at the main menu before we've played, because my God, they're like, hey, want all these cut apart out of context scenes of like multiple ending pieces? Here you go. But yeah, again, I sincerely thank each and every one of you for joining me along the NieR Replicant journey. For people that hadn't played the game and watched along with me, I hope you stayed through this journey as well to appreciate what a unique type of experience this was. And obviously for the fans of the game already, they knew what this was, and I'm glad that we got to get to this point, because maybe you were worried I would struggle to get through the tedium of the early parts of the game. But luckily, I have seen through that veil. I have seen through that veil and made it through to this point. Very, very proud of myself. There's another version of the intro as well, which I also think is kind of crazy, with a different color scheme. Again, look at this. Obviously, you don't know that that's a sacrifice, so that's fine. Dude, it's showing stuff from what we just did. That's crazy. Just says NieR instead of NieR Replicant. When you see all those orbs and you're like, oh, yeah, those are babies. Those are children. What is that shot? It put the same shot in there again. I've never. What is that? Is that in the facade thing with the cube fight? You know when you throw shit at the cubes? It's the only shot in the whole intro segment I don't recognize. Interestingly enough, it does some repeated shots. Like all of this is the same. I forgot that we get absolutely kicked in the face by Kaine there. Insane spoilers. Wild. I think we owed it to the game after going through that many endings to witness both of those movies for sure. And that is where NieR Replicant comes to a close. Again, I just give a sincere and wholehearted thank you for those of you who came along this journey and watched with me. I truly appreciated it. And I'm very excited to get around to NieR Automata eventually. It is on the to-do list for sure, and especially after the incredible game of NieR Replicant, I do want to get to that sooner rather than later. I've got quite a few things on the to-do list of established series, so I do promise that I will play Automata for sure, because it's just fascinating. I want to see what that game is about as well, and if it's connected or not, or whatever the hell's going on, we'll experience it together. Thank you so much for joining me for NieR Replicant, and I will see you next time.